Hey, Rumble World Entertainment, and there's a new rumor doing the rounds that The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, is going to be up for the role of Apocalypse in the X-Men reboot, or possibly in the MCU before the X-Men. We'll have a look at the rumor. By the way, it's interesting that Disney would want to work with him again, seeing as the guy shows up 8 hours late all the time, and doesn't want to work more than 4 hours. Again, this is what I was talking about in the Rock video I did, where it was crazy to think this information's coming out, oh, he's a nightmare, he's this and that, and yet Disney keep working with him. Doesn't quite add up, does it? But let's have a look at this. So, is the hierarchy of the power in the MCU about to change? According to a new rumor, The Rock is once again rumored to be joining Marvel, this time as X-Men villain Apocalypse. Johnson has previously been rumored to join the MCU as Namor, or as he became, Namor. But that role went to another actor. You don't say. The new rumor comes via the My Time to Shine Hello Twitter account. The rumor says that Marvel Studios wants Dwayne Johnson to play Apocalypse. An X-Men reboot is happening in the MCU, so it could be part of that, or perhaps it could be for a variant in one of the upcoming Avengers movie. Now, the actual tweet, or X, whatever you want to say nowadays, hey, if it was Twitter and it was called a tweet, what the hell do you call it when it's X? Do you call it X's? Like, it's weird. But the original tweet comes from an account called MCU Scooper, who they say their source, or the source of the story, is My Time to Shine. But it simply says Marvel Studios wants Dwayne Johnson to portray Apocalypse in the MCU. So, what is interesting about the rumor is that it would mean Johnson, who recently played more of an anti-hero hero as DC's Black Adam, would play a villain role. The Rock recently returned to WWE, where he is now a heel, so playing Apocalypse would fit. Now, let's go over a few things about this idea of him being Apocalypse, especially if it's going to be in the first of the MCU take on X-Men. Now, yes, we know they will eventually be doing X-Men, but we have absolutely no idea when they're going to be doing X-Men. They keep toying around, they're introducing elements of X-Men here and there, but they're not actually giving you X-Men yet. I think it might be a bit of a massive mistake to start off your X-Men movies in the MCU with one of the biggest villains that there is. To drop Apocalypse in there right away, that is a bit weird and a bit strange. That would be like, imagine if Man of Steel came out back in 2013 and the villain wasn't Zod. Someone familiar but a more, not as much of a threat compared to the bigger villains like a Brainiac or something. But imagine Man of Steel's villain was in fact Darkseid. You'd be like, why would you start off this franchise with the biggest villain? That'd be like if the very first Iron Man movie, the villain in it and ended up being defeated in it was Thanos. You know what I mean? Why would you start off with such a big part of the X-Men universe in Apocalypse? Surely you should be starting with Magneto. Like, the lower, well, not lower with Magneto because he's the biggest one, or at least biggest known one. But you know what I mean? Not this basically galactic threat. Or could this rumor be floating about that they want him to appear as Apocalypse, and as it says, possibly in one of the Avengers movies, could they be looking at Apocalypse to replace Kang? Which there's still no indications of exactly what they are doing with Kang. There's like no hints that it is going to get recast. There's no real hints they're done with it. They're moving on. They're going to get a newer big bad or something. To be honest, I would just drop Kang at this point. There's no point recasting a character we've seen defeated now, what, 3-4 times? Like, you're trying to build this character up to say this is the biggest, baddest villain the MCU has ever faced. Except you've seen him defeated 3 to 4 times already. And not just defeated, like, killed, dead, done and dusted. You know what I mean? And there's no point saying, oh yeah, but the bigger, badder one is still out there. It's like, oh, fuck off. Seriously, is he? Like, why didn't he just show up then? So could they be looking at Apocalypse to be the big bad for Avengers moving forward? Which then means, would you be destroying his character if you then eventually want to put him in the X-Men? God knows what they're going to end up doing with the X-Men. I think we're all worried about what they're going to do with the X-Men. You know, MCU, or should we say the MCU, X-Men, X literally men, because, you know, they don't want the men there anymore. But Dwayne Johnson as Apocalypse, he can't be any worse than Oscar Isaac was. Oh, good God, was that film terrible. Not just was it terrible, but the memes that came out right away, and when you look at it, you go, wow, they're right. That he looked like, what was he called? Ivan Ooze from the Power Rangers movie. Oh my God. Just make it look like the comic book. You know, why not? The Snyder Cut did it with Darkseid. He looked like the comic book. Hell, Thanos looked like the comic book. Of course, that was Fox with that X-Men. But it's going to be interesting to see whether or not this rumor is true or not. Or do I believe it? Not really, to be honest. You know, anytime these type of roles come up, these people are always mentioned. So we'll have to wait and see exactly what comes of this. If it's going to be in the X-Men, the first thing I think you should be worried about is, never mind who they want to be the villain. Who do they want to be the X-Men? He's sitting there telling us, oh, they want The Rock to be the villain. Who gives a shit? Who's going to be the actual X-Men? But we'll wait and see what happens with this. So, with that, I shall leave it there for this one. So cheers, and I'll catch you in the next one.